3 days ago, I competed in a bouldering competition. Now this isn't very interesting, right? Like, okay, it's a climbing comp, so what? Well, it's what happened during the comp that makes this an interesting tale. So before I get into the entire story, I have to give you a bit of a setup of how this comp worked. So in this comp, there were 50 boulders labeled 1 through 50, 50 being the hardest, 1 being the easiest. Each climber took their top 5 best climbs and added up the points, which were just the number of the boulder, to see who had the highest points. So basically, if you got boulder 50 and boulder 40, you got 90 points. And then you add your other 3 best boulders. Now I was in the advanced category, so I knew I really had to, I had to give it my all on this. I couldn't slack. Nothing below boulder 40 would suffice. So the only question was, which boulder do I start at? Do I start high and move down, or do I start low and move up? Well, that was the question I was asking myself, until I saw boulder 41. Boulder 41 was a dyno problem with a twist. Not only was the hold that you had to catch on this dyno a sloper, but it was on the roof of the cave, making it essentially useless as a hold. I mean, a goddamn orangutan couldn't hold on to this thing. But the idea was to recoil off it once you hit it and bounce back and catch the next hold up. As complicated as this sounds, it was actually relatively straightforward. I just couldn't seem to figure that out and felt the need to try and do it any other way than the way it was supposed to be done. After about 20 attempts of doing this boulder the wrong way, I finally had the revelation of, why don't I just try and use the beta? So I was feeling really good at this point. I had just sent boulder 41, pretty high grade boulder, and all I can think about is the other crazy hard boulders I'm gonna send at this comp. So I decided the best thing to do is head to boulder 40, set a solid foundation for my score sheet, and just start working my way up from there. Thankfully, boulder 40 was probably the most complementary to my climbing style out of all the boulders I tried that day. I ended up sending boulder 40 relatively easily. It did take me a few tries, but not as many as I would have thought it would have. I had thought that it would. Now at this point, I'm over the moon. I feel like a freaking god. I just sent boulder 40 and 41, and I still got over 2 hours left in the comp. Now at this point, I go to scope out boulders 42 and 43, and my attitude changed a little bit. Thankfully, like an Oblivion NPC, somebody just walked up to me and was like, "Have you heard of boulder 44? It's a dyno, like the one you just did. You might be able to do that one too." Okay. So after being scared off by boulder 42 and 43, I head to boulder 44, assuming it must be much easier. My ego takes a bit of a hit as it takes me at least 4 tries just to get on the boulder and get to the actual dyno. You ever do a move on a boulder and you just know right when you go to do it that it's not technique, it's not beta, it's not that little twist in your heel, that little extra angle you need. It's just, you're just not able to do that move. You're just not nearly strong enough. That was this move. So at this point, I've done boulder 40, 41, 42, 3, and 44 are all just too hard for me. So naturally, the next boulder for me to try is boulder 46. I don't know why I couldn't just submit to the fact that I needed to start going down instead of up, but I decided to spend the next 20 minutes working on boulder 46. After getting thoroughly and unnecessarily pumped on boulder 46, I finally decided to do the right thing and head to boulder 39. Yeah, I gave this boulder like one try and was like, this is harder than every other boulder I've done today. Now my ego's a bit crushed at this point, as I expected a score sheet full of boulders in the 40s, and I've already had to lower my standard to a couple boulders in the 30s. On top of that, boulder 39 is pretty much impossible, so now I'm stuck with 38 and below. Unfortunately, boulder number 38 is also tricky and I can't get past the crux move. I probably tried this about a dozen times before I realized boulder 37's right next to it. And you know, if there's anything that's gonna lift my spirits and get me back into the shape I need to, it's flashing a boulder that I definitely can flash. With fury in my eyes and anger in my heart, I decided the best thing to do was try it again with no recovery. After falling twice on the crux move of a boulder that I can easily flash on any given day, my spirits couldn't have been any lower. At least I thought. Thankfully, I took a 5-minute break, hopped back on, and sent boulder number 37. At this point, I've done 3 boulders plus boulder 22, which I did as a warm-up. So I really just want to get at least one more to make sure my score sheet is full. Enter boulder number 36. Boulder 36 was an extremely straightforward, and at least for my skill level, easy boulder problem. At this point, I'm tired, I'm extremely pumped, and not like, yay pumped, like climbing pumped, bad pumped. Can't close my hand pumped. And I decided to just hop right on that boulder. I fell on the 3rd move. Now, if you think I was frustrated and angry before, think about how I feel now. Now, at this point, everyone just wants me to take a break. Even people that don't know me are like, I don't know who this lunatic is, but he needs to calm down and take 5 minutes to just sit off to the side. And I don't know what it was. I just had like the eye of the tiger or something, because I went right back on that boulder. And that's when this happened. Now the video pretty much tells all. It was a pretty nasty fall. But what you can't hear or see, and what I didn't notice until I hit the mat, was at some point on the way down, I had smashed my left kneecap into the wall. My leg hurt so bad I thought I had shattered my kneecap. The good news that came from this was it gave me a reason to finally sit down and take a break. While this break was short, I took 5 minutes to sit there, groaning in pain as my knee was hurting very badly. Once I reached the point that standing up didn't feel like it was going to make me pass out, it felt like the right time to hop back on and try again. Now my score sheet was looking pretty good at this point. I had 36, 37, 40, and 41. But there was one big smear on my score sheet, which was 22. This meant that if I were to get another boulder, like say 42, that'd be an extra 20 points, which is enough to make a huge difference. So naturally I was torn between continuing to climb and trying to improve my score, or accepting that I had finished all the boulders I needed to, I was pretty badly injured, and I should probably just stop. Which one do you think I did? If you said hop back on boulder number 38 and give it another go, you would be right. Eventually I was actually able to figure out the crux move and make it to the top of the boulder. It was here that there was one last move I needed to be able to do, which involved me weighting my left foot, and therefore my left knee. 2 hours and 45 minutes into the comp, I decided to give up on boulder 38 and just look for any boulder higher than 22 that I could finish to just help my score a little bit. It was then that I found boulder number 33. 33 was a fairly technical and difficult slab boulder that I had previously overlooked because why would I be looking at boulder 33? I already sent 40 and 41. I don't need that. That's below me, right? Having been humbled a little bit, I was extremely grateful for boulder 33 at this point. So with no energy left, a busted knee, and a broken spirit, I just started throwing my body at the slab wall, praying that I could finish boulder 33. I'm not exaggerating when I say there were literally 5 minutes left when somebody told me, it's a dyno, you have to jump for it. Most people were done climbing at this point, so I had accumulated a bit of an audience, mostly probably to see this desperate man with a busted leg trying to send a boulder at an amateur climbing competition. But with the advice of a stranger and the determination of a man with nothing left, this happened.
Come on.
No way. Get it.
You got it.
Come on. You got it.
Yeah.
This was honestly the highlight of the entire comp for me, mostly because I didn't have to climb anymore and my leg, I could barely walk on it at this point. But also it was just nice to finish out with a decent boulder and actually have a score sheet I was proud of. Once the comp was over, I started chatting with some of the other climbers in the advanced category to try to get an idea of where I was going to fall into. Now after looking at the score sheets, I knew that at best I was going to get third because I'd already found 2 people with higher scores than me. So I was really just holding out for third place.
On to men's advance.
So in the end, I ended up getting 5th place, which I was actually okay with. You know, I did my best. The only thing I could have done better is get boulder 38. But after looking at the scores, even with that, I only would have gotten 4th place. So there was really no way I could have gotten on the podium unless I sent another boulder above 41. And after a shattered knee and an equally shattered spirit, you might be asking yourself, was it really worth it? Was it worth all that pain and suffering just to get 5th place? You're goddamn right it was.